Welcome. We are continuing with the transition feature. We have started with chapter 1 and we had chased the transition steps from chapter 1 to chapter 2. This transition is of many facets, and the first facet we had taken into account as that chapter 1 is of 47 shlokas range, while chapter 2 is of 72 shlokas range, giving us a gap of value 25. The second feature, which is of equal force value, is that the Pushpika of chapter 1 is having 48 syllables, while Pushpika of chapter 2 is having 45 syllables with a difference value of 3. The third feature is that chapter 1 is a setup of 6 uvachas, 1 of Dhritarashtra, 3 of Sanjay, and 2 of Arjuna, while chapter 2 is of 7 uvachas range. The difference value here is 1. The next aspect is that chapter 1 is Arjun Vishad Yoga of TC value 55, while the second chapter is Sankhya Yoga of TC value 32, leading to the difference value 23. The other feature which is of importance is that the chapter 1 as of 47 shlokas range in a cyclic order, with last chapter 18 being of 78 shlokas range, giving here the value 31. So a step ahead we know chapter 2 is of value 72 and the difference value here is 25. Now from this phase, when we proceed ahead, we see that chapter 3 is 43 shlokas range, leading us to difference value 29. Let us have a pause here. Reach from chapter 1 to chapter 2 and further to chapter 3 in this sequence is bringing to focus a feature that chapter 1 is opened with a divine dialogue opening by Dhritarashtra. The first participant is Dhritarashtra. The second chapter of the divine dialogue is opened by the second participant Sanjay. The third chapter of the divine dialogue is opened by Arjun, the third participant. And this organization feature, when reaches the fourth chapter, here the participation is of the fourth participant of divine dialogue, Shri Bhagavan himself. So the transition of the organization format of the divine dialogue as a composed text of Srimad Bhagwad Geeta is of sequential transition features, and these sequential transition features deserve to be comprehended, as it is in terms of these features we will be parallel with the divine dialogue itself. Now see that the cyclic order which takes to chapter 18, starting with 1. Here the gap value is 31, and chapter 2 gives us the gap value 25, and the third chapter gives us the gap value 29. Now see the second fold of gaps. Here is 6, and here the value is 4, and it is this feature which also deserves to be comprehended well. As we know, the value 6 is the value of the first letter of Ganita Sutra, while value 4 is the value of the second letter of the Ganita Sutra. So we have seen that chapters 1 to 18 with their gap values starting with 31, then 25, 29 and reaching 50 is leading us ultimately to value 284, which is equal to one more than 283, the total letters of the entire text of Ganita Sutras 1 to 16. So the first gap fold of the organization in the form of the shlokas range of the chapters of Srimad Bhagwad Geeta as gap values is leading us to the entire range of text of Ganita Sutras themselves. Now, when we are at the second fold of the gaps, means 31 and 25 leading to value 6, 25 and 29 leading us to value 4. This is parallel to the TCV values of the first and second letter of Ganita Sutra 1 itself. So we see how the gaps and inner folds of the gaps are preserving different organization format features of the text of Ganita Sutras, and as we have seen earlier that we have to reach Panchavritya, as many as 5 inner folds have to be visited, have to be glimpsed. We have to be face to face with the 5 inner folds of the organization format features of the text of Srimad Bhagwad Geeta, and likewise we have to go 5 folds organization of the text of Srimad Bhagwad Geeta, which we are separately chasing in the evening sessions. These 5 folds, inner unfolding, this compactified format of inner folding and outer unfolding, a simultaneous folding towards, inwards and outwards, is bringing us face to face with the way the Vedic systems organize themselves, unfold themselves, and take us parallel to the existence phenomenon of our solar universe. So here we have seen that the chapter 1 is having 6 vachas, chapter 2 is having 7 vachas, and chapter 3 is having 4 vachas. See, we are here at a 6 space. Then next step, it takes us to the origin of a 6 space, that is 7 space, and then it takes us to dimensional frame of the creative dimension of the 6 space. So sequentially, vachas as well are taking us to the inner organization format features. In terms of them as well, we can have a chase of the transition from given chapter to the next chapters. Here one may note that in all there are 59 vachas, and that means it is a value 1 less than the 60 coordinates, the transcendental boundary coordinates of 12 components, leading us to 5 into 12 is equal to 60, and so with the origin, the 59 coordinates fixation is the Uvacha's organization format of the text of Srimad Bhagavad Gita. Therefore, the sadhakas fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with the organization format features of the text of Srimad Bhagavad Gita have to sequentially parallel with the transition and transformation starting with chapter 1, and we have to reach sequentially after chapter 18. So in terms of Uvachas, we see that we are reaching from 6th space as a domain to 7th space as the origin to 4th space as the creative dimensional order of a 4th space, and the next steps sequentially we take the thread from here onwards. As far as the shlokas are concerned, we are seeing that the difference value here of the shlokas is 31, then it takes to 25, and ultimately at the third stage takes to 29. Now see, the value 25 is the value of 25 Sankhya Tattva, Sankhya elements. Also we know that the transcendental boundary of a 6th space is a setup of the 12 components of split format 5 and 7, which gives us a 5-7 grid for coordination of all the 24 double-digit numbers of a 6th place value system. Now, let us see how the value 25 and value 29 have been of organization format of the Vedic systems. Value 25 is the parallel to the TC value of a Sangya. Value 29 is parallel to the TCV value of Paribhasha. We know that there are 6 types of sutras being availed for composition of the text of Ashtadhyayi, and first form is a Sangya Sutra, second form is of a Paribhasha Sutra. So see that the transition from chapter 1 to chapter 2, when it gives us a value 25, that means here there is going to be a role of the Sangya Sutra. And when we have a transition from chapter 2 to chapter 3, the difference value 29 will bring us face to face with the role of the Prabhasha Sutras. So Sangya Sutras and Prabhasha Sutra are having their melting domain within the gaps of chapter 1 and chapter 2 on the one hand, and chapter 2 and chapter 3 on the other hand. These are the features which deserve to be comprehended well, deserve to be chased simultaneously, so that we can be parallel with the organization format of Srimad Bhagwad Gita on the one hand, with the Ganita Sutras and Upsutras, and on the other hand with Ashtadhyayi, the basic source book of Vyakaran Vedanga. This also will help us appreciate that the entire Vedic system is having a common foundation, and it is this common foundation of the Vedic knowledge which is the subject matter of initiation for the sadhakas like us who want to be parallel with the Vedic systems, Vedic mathematics, Vedic sciences and Vedic technologies. Therefore, we shall approach the organization, format, features of the text of Srimad Bhagavad Gita in a sequential form by tabulating the features of each chapter as number of shlokas, the syllables of the Pushpika, Uvachas, the TCV values of the yoga discipline, and then we have to have the inner chase in respect of how 47 shlokas range is to lead us to 48 syllables Pushpika, or how the 6 vachas is the format of the chase of this divine dialogue, and how is it that this Vishad, this Arjun Vishad Yoga is taking us to value 55, which is of the Vish Rupa Darshan. The Vishva Rupa Darshan, which is being visualized, glimpsed and imbibed by Arjuna, is not the real glimpse of the Vishwa in which we are existing. It is this mundane state of the Vishwa which is to be transcended, and it in fact is being transcended. And while we reach up till chapter 11, then we will be having a glimpse of the Vishwarupa Darshan Yoga, of the comprehension and imbibing of the Vedic systems. So Vishwarupa Darshan, as is being comprehended and expressed by Arjuna, is not the Vishwarupa Darshan Yoga, which is the enlightenment phase and stage to which Lord Krishna, Shri Bhagwan, is sequentially taking us in the form of the medium of an Arjuna. So this is the enlightenment not only of the mental state of Arjuna, but each one of us. So each sadhaka is in a mental state of the Arjuna, and the enlightenment awaiting for the sadhakas is of the order of the divine dialogue of Srimad Bhagwad Geeta. Therefore, the first exercise for us is that we shall have a complete tabulation of the features of chapters 1 to chapter 18 in the form of the shlokas range, the pushpika, the uvachas, and the yoga values, and then we will have a comparative view, comparative expression, comparative comprehension, comparative understanding in the form of a sequential transition. This sequential transition aspect is the methodology which is to be adopted by the sadhakas who are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with Vedic mathematics, Vedic sciences, and Vedic technologies. The organization format of Srimad Bhagavad Gita deserves to be chased along with the organization format of Vedic mathematics. Ganita Sutras format is the foundational format, and the Gita format is the ultimate reach format. As we have noticed that the beginning and end of Vedic systems is at the same ment, and it is at the middle. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well. If we are having the center as an orb of the sun, then we know that sun as a sixth space is enveloped within a transcendental boundary of a 12 components leading to 60 coordinates. And as we know the inherent feature of Vedic systems, that Creator creates the creation and as a last steps jumps into the creation to be the internal regulator of the creation. Let us have a fresh visit to this Vedic enlightenment. Creator creates the creation and the last step of creation is that Creator himself jumps within the creation as its sustainer. So Creator is always within the creation. Now it is this feature, the total creation as of a transcendental boundary of 1260 components has a one value for the Creator himself jumping and going within the domain itself, and there remains 59 other steps. Now these 59 steps are the 59 vachas of Srimad Bhagwad Geeta. Now see the value 59. It is equal to 1 plus 2 into 29. Now see, this 2 into 29 takes us to value 29 as hypercube 29, and 29 is the value equal TC value of a Brahma, Creator the Supreme. And further value 29 itself is of an organization 1 plus 2 into 14, and 14 we know is hypercube of 4. So it is presided by Lord Brahma, Creator the Supreme. It is this feature of the creation as a real force space with hypercube 4 as its representative regular body of fourfold manifestation layer 2, 3, 4, 5, which as hypercube 14 gives us 29 versions equal to the idol of Lord Brahma, and hypercube 29 leads us to value 59, which is parallel to the 59 vachas of the text of Srimad Bhagwad Geeta, and this value together with Lord Brahma, Creator the Supreme, as a creative dimensional order of a sixth space as a value completes the creation. Let us sit comfortably. Let us permit the transcending mind to be parallel with this comprehension and glimpsing of the creation by the Vedic systems. Creator creates the creation, and the last step of the creation is that Creator jumps and lives within the creation itself. It is this feature which will be taking us to how the middle is to be taken as the starting point. Middle as the starting point would mean that present is here, so the past and the futures is on the opposite directions. This sequential organization of present at the middle will take us to the first vowel, first letter at the middle, and it is the second vowel which will go on the one side and the third vowel will go on the other side. That is why when we will be chasing Ashtadhyayi, the organization of the principal Vyakaran Vedanga, we'll see that past, the Bhut, Lang Rakar and others, these are taken the values here as a link. So Lang and Lung. So future is on one side, past is on the other side, and the present is at the middle. It is this feature which deserves to be comprehended well for having a proper chase, for to be parallel with the mathematical domain of the Ganita Sutras. We have seen in the previous session that the text of Srimad Bhagwad Geeta is the text which provides as many as a setup of 5 structural keys for each of the 16 sutras. And simultaneously we have previously seen that the sutras, 16 sutras, are being as serial number 1 to 16 of column number 1, and column number 2 gives the total number of letters of the sutras. Here is the summation value of the sutras reach at 283. Now column 4 gives the TCV values of the sutras. So each sutra is having its TCV value, which will be taking us to the mathematical domain of the sutra. So the mathematical domain of Ganita Sutra 1 is of the features parallel to the features of the range of TC value 75. The mathematical domain of Ganita Sutra 2 is of values range parallel to the TC value 107. And like that, the TCV values of the text of the respective Ganita Sutra takes us parallel to the features of the mathematical domain of the respective sutra. So here in terms of TCV values, we are having features of the mathematical domain of the sutra, and here in terms of the setup of 5 structural keys of each sutra, we are having a process for unlocking this mathematical domain. So mathematical domain of value 75 is having its 5-fold lock to be unlocked in terms of a setup of these 5 structural keys of summation value 22. So the value 22, which is parallel to the summation value of 4 folds of hypercube 6. So hypercube 6 format as 4-fold manifestation layer gives the summation value for the 5-fold format of the structural keys, and value 75 is the value which is parallel to the summation value, synthesis value of pair of transcendence ranges of transcendental order. So pair of transcendental ranges of transcendental order of value 75. It is the mathematical domain, and here are the structural keys. These structural keys and lead for this mathematical domain in respect of Ganita Sutra 1, and sequentially at the next step, value 21 as the formatted lock of the set of 5 structural keys having a sequential unlocking process for the mathematical domain of value TC value 107. It is this way that we have to proceed, and then as we have to start from the middle, so this chase as such is to be chased in between the formats of Ganita Sutra 8 and Ganita Sutra 9. So it is here where from we have to begin. So our beginning is to be in between for Sutra 8 and Sutra 9, and then from here we have to reach the past of Sutras 8 to 1 and to a future to Sutras 9 to 16. It is this twofold reach from the middle, which is going to provide us the ultimate glimpse as a comprehensive view of the mathematical domain of the Ganita Sutras. Therefore, the sadhakas are fulfilled with intensity of urge to be parallel with Vedic systems shall have a simultaneous chase of the organization format features of Ganita Sutras and organization format features of Srimad Bhagwad Geeta. Once we will be having a parallel chase for this pair of organizational format features of the Ganita Sutras on the one hand and the text of the text of Srimad Bhagwad Gita on the other hand, then we can safely say that we are on the right path of a chase. We are having a right initiation for glimpsing the truth of the rich values of the Vedic mathematics, Vedic sciences and technologies. Therefore, the assignment, the exercise of settling the textbooks of Ganita Sutras, mathematics, is to have this initiation point of a start at the middle to be comprehensively imbibed, and this imbibing is to be supplemented, complemented with the organization format features of the text of Srimad Bhagwad Gita, permitting sequential chase from its first aspect, first discipline of yoga to the last discipline of yoga. We have to proceed like this, we have to process like this, we have to imbibe like this, we have to be parallel to it, our insight should be parallel to it, our enlightenment should be parallel to it, and so that we can truthfully have a settlement of the texts of Vedic mathematics to be made a subject matter of instructions in a phased manner from the initial stage, initiation of instructions for the young minds up till the mature exercise of the mature minds to have a glimpse of ultimate enlightenment. Thank you.